Hello everyone, welcome to the fifth and final main tank sub video for vHoF for the Assembly General boss. Here I'll be going over the gear and such and reasoning why we made all these decisions regarding the gear, the bar setups, and that's pretty much it. This is all we used for Tick Tock Tormentor, what I used for Tick Tock Tormentor on the main tank setup, so feel free to use it or feel free to adjust it, whatever. If anything works for you, anything works for you. So regarding the gear, it's going to be 2-piece Lord Warden. I would find it hard to debate against using this as the main tank on the Assembly General because it offers so much mitigation for not just yourself, obviously. If you're looking at the numbers right now for spell resistance and physical resistance, it's also a lot of mitigation for the melee stack if you're going to have the melee DPS in the Assembly General's trenches. If you're going to, go for a fast fight or a faster fight than a 15-minute fight where you just have everyone on the platforms, but I digress. It's a lot of mitigation. This is what we used for the last boss. And while it doesn't reach the range group behind us, it is crucial for the melee DPS because it helps mitigate against the bombardments, the stomps of the Assembly General's left foot, any stray ads, and pretty much anything that can go wrong is hopefully mitigated by Lord Warden. So yeah, I would really find it hard to argue against using this on the main tank. Now, as for the other sets, could be debatable. The 5-piece Ebon, so at first we decided to have the off-tank run 5-piece Ebon, but the off-tank's job in the Assembly General fight is stacking capacitors. So normally what happens with the off-tank, he or she will go off with the other terminal group after the capacitors are stacked to help, ensure that people survive, the igniting shields and Vigor. And we had that going for a while. We had the main tank me in Torugs and Alkosh and Lord Warden, but we eventually swapped it over to where the main tank had Ebon, because when you leave the terminal as the off tank, your Ebon will not affect the people that stay on the original positioning of the Assembly General where you had to kill one of the 2 necessary terminals that need to be destroyed. So we figured that Ebon would be better for the people that stayed because all the ads would be stacked on that one terminal. The other terminal group wouldn't experience any ads going after them, so better safe than sorry, pretty much. And the Alkosh, it's pretty hard to get consistent synergies even if your healers or the ranged DPS are throwing conduits, orbs, or shards. For whatever reason in the trenches, the synergy prompts don't appear half the time, and you kind of have to hunt for one, and if you can't find one, you just kind of give up. You can't really focus too much on it. The highest Alkosh uptime on this boss I've probably ever had is 40-something%. That's including the fight time of, him moving to the center for execute phase, him being invulnerable during terminal phase, so it was, I guess, sort of decent line breaker uptime for the Alkosh, but other than that, this is mostly used to help the group DPS the boss faster. If I had to substitute Alkosh for a safer set, I would probably do a Plague Doctor or something else, anything else, probably even Alteration Mastery, possibly, or Potentates. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's why we decided to have the main tank run 5-piece Ebon, 2-piece Lord Warden, and 5-piece Alkosh. As for the bars, I'll be showing you the original bars we had for Assembly General before we got Tick Tock Tormentor, so just to help the trench healer get used to it, because you have the one ranged healer on the upper right platform to help aggro his flamethrower arm. You also have the melee healer healing the tank and the melee DPS directly, just to help the healer get used to the damage and stuff like that. I slotted guard on both bars, guarded the healer. She did just great. Awesome progress. Like, she learned pretty fucking fast, and we just got rid of guard pretty quick. But yeah, you can run guard as a main tank here. You can run it on the melee DPS, you can run it on a healer in the trench, but you don't strictly need to have guard. It is sort of safer to have it on one person, but at the same time, you could be doing something else. So I'll explain the new bars we had on our Tick Tock Tormentor run. So the new bars were the following here. Let's see. So on the front bar, we have Engulfing Flames. Obviously, as the main tank, you sort of have an easier time keeping it up than you would on the off tank, who's on the left upper platform, aggroing the blade arm and such. And we have the standard melee taunt, Ignis Shield, Heroic Slash, Balance, pretty much the same theme you guys probably have noticed in the past 4 videos. And we have Aggressive Horn on the front bar. On the back bar, it's a bit different. So on the back bar we have Turn Undead, which is basically your minor protection and minor endurance. It helps the stam recovery of the group, which is actually beneficial for the stam melee DPS for that fight. I believe some stam melee DPS have used like one stam recovery glyph on their jewelry for the assembly jello just to help their sustain and blocking and so on and DPSing. And the minor protection helps a bit too. The inner rage is mostly for the ads. Now, after the Summerset patch hit, the inner rage stopped working on the Calefactor ads. The only time they would work on the Calefactor ads is if they didn't have their little fire shields up. So I'm gonna guess, either intended or not, that the inner rage is acting as a projectile that's bouncing off of the Calefactor ads, even though it did work on them in the previous patches, regardless of whether they had a shield or not. So just be mindful of that. You can use a melee taunt when they come down to take care of them. Resolving Vigor, I think we looked at how other groups sort of got their Tick Tock on the European server, and we're like, alright, both the tanks are running Vigor, they're not running Guard, so let's try that out for the execute phase. You don't really pop this for during the fight. You only really mostly pop it for during terminal phase, to help the healer heal, and during execute phase if you had the time, which you should. The Shielded Assault, this is just for one of the assembly general's mechanics where he pulls back a punch and hits you, having you slide across the floor, and you just have to get back quickly. Keep in mind, it's preferable that you taunt him right before he punches you, because if you lose taunt while you're charging back, it might mean he could jump up and down regardless. Like, he'll make everyone go flying. I've had that experience before, and I think it's probably has to do with the taunt running out as I'm charging back. So even if you think you got back in time, and the taunt runs out, he'll still jump, is my point. And Green Dragon Blood is extremely useful, obviously, for execute and all that. Terminal phase for the healers to heal you. And of course for your own source of Vigor and everyone else's Vigor if they're running it for safety, for Tick Tock. And yeah, on the back bar, a Magma Shell just in case you need it. So those are the bar setups. Another interesting thing I'd like to show you guys what we did for the main tank on our run was that we swapped the weakening enchanted weapon to the front bar. So now instead of Crusher on the main tank, you're gonna mostly be keeping up the weakening enchant. Why weakening? Weakening, basically, we played it really ultra fucking safe. So weakening helps reduce the assembly general's bombardment, stomps, and I believe traps. I'm not quite sure on the traps because I don't think we've ever actually tested people just going into traps. So I don't know if it actually helps or not with the traps, but I do know it helps with the stomps and bombardment. So weakening enchant is the equivalent of the healer set's mending. It's basically an enchantment version of mending, so it helps a lot with the damage mitigation too. So it was very noticeable, especially during execute. Even if we hit slightly past the first exhaustion stage, we wouldn't be taking too much damage. The health bars would be pretty much stable in the raid frame. So yeah, we had the main tank run weakening constantly, so it would be up constantly on the assembly general, pretty much. As for who ran the Crusher, in the videos or streams, you probably noticed that the Crusher enchant was being applied by the off tank. So the off tank has ample enough time while aggroing the blade arm and on the lift platform to just use the Crusher, and you also have the option of running wall to keep it up as the off tank. But again, I digress. This is what the main tank setup for the Assembly General, and I'm proud to say that it definitely helped us get the Tick Tock, in addition to everyone's amazing gameplay and skills. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you did watch all the 5 main tank setup videos for vHoF, I'll probably be doing something similar videos like this for maybe the other trials, depending. As for our current plans as a raid team, we are going to be going into Vet Asylum Centurium to get Immortal Redeemer, and then after that will be Cloud Rest. So I will hopefully see all of you on the next stream or in the next YouTube video. Again, thank you guys so much for liking and subscribing. If you want more